Breaking the Conditioning news is a comedy show most of the time, but every time you see a special report, it's real news. It's not comedy at all. And this situation here is no different. Tonight we're going to talk about the AARP PSA with the news report turned way, way down. And people on the internet have gone and turned that news report up. And I'm going to quote it here, right here. I actually took it into my software here and put a boost on it so I could hear exactly what was being said. And I wrote it down word for word, a little different than what the translations I've seen on the internet. My translation was a little bit different. Here it is. I'm going to quote here. You are also urged to lock all doors, windows, and any other points of entry. Riots nationwide have promoted local government to declare martial law. The president is asking citizens to find safety and remain calm. Authorities are working on a plan to contain the outbreak. This is on the heels of the Jade Helm 15 whole debacle, where they claim it's for foreign engagement.
Jade Helm is a training exercise to produce top-quality U.S. Army Special Operations Forces for operations overseas, future operations overseas.
Okay. But then we see the actors, the paid actors in the training mission, which they've been told. The actors have been told what to say when the National Guard runs up on them. This is a training mission. And what are they saying? I'm a sovereign citizen. They look like a bunch of stoners. They look like people that could only, the way they're dressed, these people look like the way the actors were dressed and the things they were saying, they were like college kids or Ron Paul supporters or Tea Party or whatever you want to call it. They have the video I'm going to play up here. Saying, hey, I'm a sovereign citizen. So we know what that's about. We saw the map. The map was supposedly leaked out. But then they confirmed, I saw in the Washington Post, confirmed that that's a real map, saying Texas is hostile. The northern border of California, which I agree is hostile, saying Arizona is, their best friend, and the undecided areas and all this stuff. It's exactly what the U.S. really is. It's not a training mission. This is literally. There's been other training missions where they did on the East Coast where they would rename all the states, and they renamed all the beaches foreign names, and they went in and they had foreign, little things about each area as they infiltrated into the coast. This isn't like that. These are actually the real threats in the areas in the United States. This is a real map. And then we see Colonel Lastoria, when confronted about it and when asked to speak on the issue, he basically he lies, but it's in a way that it could be nothing else but a lie. You're saying one thing. You're saying this is for foreign engagement. But then we see the actors hired. We see the way they're dressed. We see the things they're saying they're a sovereign citizen. Okay, so we know that he's lying right there, caught right there. He's saying one thing, doing another. Clearly not foreign training. Also, the map. So we know what this is about, and it coincides with the White House saying the Tea Party and veterans, not foreign, but our veterans are the number one enemy, basically, and should be considered a threat. So you put these little pieces all together. They've been positioning and posturing for such a scenario, and then we see the AARP commercial come out and say they're giving a bunch of memes at very, very low volume. This could be considered subliminal messages, we're seeing, the points are, we're seeing authorities are working on a plan to contain the outbreak. So there's an outbreak, and the authorities, they're working on a plan to contain the outbreak. They're not working on containing the outbreak. They're working on a plan to contain the outbreak. So this is subliminally, when you hear a sentence phrased like this, authorities are working on a plan to contain the outbreak. Authorities, so I have to trust these people. They're working on a plan to contain the outbreak. It's not coming. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's coming. This is down the pike a ways. This isn't about to happen. You're all urged to lock all doors, windows, and other points of entry. Yeah, nothing else needs to be said about that. The president is asking citizens to find safety and remain calm. When they're asked to find safety, is it going to be in one of these, mega safety havens that the government has set up, like a FEMA type of mass FEMA situation? And then riots nationwide have prompted local government to declare martial law. Break this down. Riots nationwide. That is a blanket statement. Riots nationwide. It's not possible. Couldn't happen. And when that comes over the airways, as riots nationwide, just done deal. Wherever you're at, there's a riot. That's a blanket statement. That's fear-mongering. Riots nationwide have prompted local government. Local government is the last bastion of hope, and this is the last thing that the feds would love to take control of or defeat, is local government. So when they say riots nationwide, blanket statement, have prompted local government, which is the meat of the potato, to declare martial law. And they're playing it at such a low volume that you would really never hear this. It makes me actually wonder how many of these little things have been passed by that nobody's ever called out and seen. This one being called out, I think, was a needle in the haystack after I go to AARP's, their many videos. I'm shocked that somebody even pulled this thing up and found it. But it's definitely the probably one of the biggest subliminal messages or low volume psyops that have been discovered. There's also a video. If you go to the AARP YouTube page, a few days after they posted this PSA, now they've done a 3-part series on preparedness. And I have a report on that. Let's go take a look at that right now. So right after the AARP PSA that came out with the background news report about martial law and locking your doors, and the president telling you to get to safety, and the announcement of the outbreak and the authorities working on controlling the outbreak. A couple days afterwards, they posted, on April 28th, they posted this natural disasters part 1, 2, and 3, and it looks like in conjunction with that news report that was turned down really quiet, they're pushing a government app at .gov. Go there and get the app. Here, take a look at this.
About awareness in our last segment. Let's talk a little bit more about technology. You can't talk about something like disaster preparedness without all the advancements that we can use in our favor now, apps that might be available for our listeners and viewers.
Yeah, to think where we've come from, right? Just sirens, scattered around town, to now smartphone apps. That's sort of the latest craze when it comes to emergency preparedness. And we certainly have several really good sites that you can go to and find some of these disaster preparedness apps. So everybody these days, right, the smartphone, we know where to get them. If you go to ready.gov, they have a lot of really great apps.
Ready.gov. We're going to check that out here in just a second.
Many of them are disaster specific. So if you want information about tornadoes or flooding or hurricanes, you don't have to have just one app that has so much information you can't even really navigate through it.
You download one of these apps. They backdoor all your info.
And they've also gone into that realm of some very specific regional disasters that may be happening. So you may know that you're living in a wildfire area that frequently has to deal with that. So you can download those apps. You can also, in a hurricane-prone area. And so, so there's some really cool options for you to have at your fingertips. That also, it's not one or the other. They all sort of are this constellation of stuff that helps people be prepared. And the other interesting thing is that sometimes people are a little apprehensive about how do I download an app to my smartphone? How do I use it? Well, FEMA's created this really fantastic PSA that helps people understand how to use those apps.
Oh, a FEMA PSA.
And I think it's something that the viewers would really enjoy seeing.
All right, we'll take a look.
Of course, we'll enjoy that.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe.
FEMA.
Those we use all the time with hardly a
loves
thought.
you.
Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us
FEMA
everywhere
guilt
we
trip.
go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency
we're not going
alerts,
to track you.
real-time
Oh no, go
information
get in your
directly
underground
from local
bunker.
sources
Download
you
the
know and
app.
trust, with the unique sound and
Download the app. We're not going to
vibration
find you in your
you'll
underground
know
bunker.
wherever you
This
are.
isn't for people that have bunkers. No. All right. And then in that video, they put up the ready.gov web address. So I go to ready.gov and I start poking around over there. There's all sorts of information about just general information, nothing too serious or specific. This is kind of the government version of prepping. But under the shelter thing, it lists a few different options in the case of any different emergencies, what kind of shelters, blah, blah, blah. It's just absolutely, it's at a third grade level. And then at the very bottom, they bold up mass care shelter. Get this, mass care shelter. Even though mass care shelters often provide water, food, medicine, and basic sanitary facilities, you should plan to take a disaster supply kit with you so you will have supplies you require. Mass care sheltering can involve living with many people in a confined space, which can be difficult and unpleasant. To avoid conflicts in the stressful situation, it's important to cooperate with shelter managers and others assisting them. Shelter managers and others assisting them, aka military folk. It's important to cooperate with them. Keep in mind that alcoholic beverages and weapons are forbidden in emergency shelters, and smoking is restricted. Yeah. And then you click on guidelines for staying put, and it's basically, lock the doors and windows, air vents, fireplace dampeners, same kind of rhetoric that we heard in the almost silent news report that was going on in the background of the AARP / US .gov, China, Russia, United States, who knows gov at this point, about the martial law and the outbreak. Bring your family and pets inside. Lock doors, close windows, air vents, and fireplace dampeners. Turn off fans. and air conditioning and forced air heating systems. Take your emergency supply kit unless you have reason to believe that it has been contaminated. Contaminated with what? This is like, is this a nuclear war assessment? This thing says guidelines for staying put and shelter in a place. They never say one thing about anything nuclear in this whole website. It's very vague, which as soon as I looked at it, I thought, well, where's the nuclear stuff? That's what I want to see. Nothing about it. And they say something about contamination here. Take your emergency supply kit unless you have a reason to believe that it has been contaminated. Go into an interior room with few windows if possible. Is that because of some sort of blast? Seal all windows and doors and air vents with 2 to 4 mil thick plastic. That's obviously been tested, 2 to 4 mil. There's reasoning behind the 2 to 4 mil. That doesn't come without testing. I'm giving the stat. Thick plastic sheeting and duct tape, which we've heard a lot about against a nuclear fallout. Considering measuring and cutting the sheeting in advance to save time. I mean, this thing just goes on and on and on. This is got a lot to do with nuclear war, mass care shelter, where it's going to be very uncomfortable there, and you have to they make sure it's very important to cooperate with shelter managers and others assisting them. I mean, this thing is so obvious. You go bam, AP or AARP video showing this commercial with the background news report. Bam, you go here, they're selling you the app. Ready.gov, they're promoting that. Thing has 6 views. Had 3 views when I got to it. I think I gave it the other 3.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go.
Alright, I'm going to pause that right there. This is meant to show you, they're showing a defibrillator, a crosswalk, and now they're trying to, since those have become so mundane in our everyday lives, they want you to think this same way about the emergency alert coming over your smartphone. But that's not enough. They need you to download the .gov apps. Not just one, they're all recommended.
Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the...
All right, stop there. First, we're seeing ready.gov/alerts. We went to ready.gov. There's a lot of stuff there. This all paints a very big picture of what they're up to. Then we have FEMA in the middle. FEMA, I think, is the maybe the architect of this commercial, possibly. Then we have the Ad Council, which I believe is a propaganda wing of the White House. I think it's a good way to describe it. And yeah, the 3 of these things teaming up, yeah, how can you lose? And then, so I'm going to back it up a little bit, and we're going to look at the commercial again.
Will now bring you
so we take it here. The guy gets the alert. And here's what the PSYOP is. The guy grabs the phone. He sees the alert. And then we're going to see what he does next. He's looking at the alert.
wireless emergency alert.
Then he looks up. He looks at the alert. He looks up. And this is to convey to the audience that he is now formulating a thought right here after what he has just seen. So what thought is he formulating? You see him with a smartphone, which anybody with an underground bunker knows. There's never anyone's or anyhow a smartphone ever allowed in the underground bunker. It leaves a trace. They can triangulate exactly where it is. Smartphones aren't allowed in underground bunkers, and this is a way to try to say, hey, you've got a smartphone. Hey, you've got an underground bunker. You need this. Now, what does he do? He looks at the smartphone, sees the alert, looks up, creates a thought right here. This is what they want the audience to see, and then here's what he does.
Alerts, real-time information.
And then he puts his family in an underground bunker with an exposed door. You are a sitting duck if somebody walks up on that thing and you're in that thing. All right, that's not hidden. This is exactly who they're targeting with the commercial. A guy that'll take his smartphone into his bunker. This is what they want. Nobody on Earth who's put their money into a bunker would ever take a smartphone up in there.
Directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know wherever you are.